Good people, here we are, and as you can see, same backgrounds. I'm dressed the same because I'm recording this after what was this new installment about the Pumas, about the Argentine team that had its 3 matches in the July window. I did a kind of review of what happened, mentioned the high points, mentioned the low points, the debutants, and what is coming in the Rugby Championship, the 2 matches against New Zealand, the 2 against Australia, and the 2 against South Africa towards the end of the tournament. You can see the video up here, so go show it some love, leave your comment, leave your like. Those who are not subscribed to the channel, please do so, as it really helps me a lot to continue creating this kind of rugby content. But now we dive right into the theme of this video, which is none other than the second test between Australia and the British and Irish Lions. Let's remember that the first match was for the Lions in Brisbane. They won last Saturday, and this time at the MCG, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, with a capacity for 100,000 spectators. The boys in green and yellow will be facing the ones in red in a true great match. And I believe that this time Australia, even though the odds are quite behind the British and Irish team, I think the Wallabies might pull off an upset, and now I will leave it in my prediction. But the first thing to mention is that despite the weak squad that Australia has, they competed quite well in the first match of the series. I expected a larger margin in favor of the visitors, and none of that happened. Maybe because of the Max Jorgensen factor, a very important player, right? This young guy who, although he is a wing, is not a position that is so influential in the game itself. He does inspire his teammates, right? The fact of having an exceptional player, one who can change a game for you, I think is extremely important for Australia. An Australia that is in a transition phase, even though there are still over 2 years until the World Cup, still does not have a very clear identity. An identity that distinguishes them as a team, something that South Africa already has, that Argentina has, beyond the names we saw in the July window, and that New Zealand is looking for. And well, the northern teams are already much more seasoned, considering they play in more matches, especially at the beginning of each year. Already, in terms of the formations of both teams, the Australian team will go from 1 to 15, as you can see on the screen, with James Lippert, Dave Porecki, and Alan Halalatoa in the front row. In the second, with Nick Frost, this player trained in Crusaders but who became known in Brumbies alongside Will Skelton, for me the best of this entire Wallaby team. In the third, Rob Valentini, another great player. I think if I would like to have an Australian third row, it would definitely be Rob Valentini, Fraser Manwright, a great fetcher in the breakdown, and Harry Wilson. On the side of the backs, Jake Gordon and Tom Lennas were the halves. In the center of the field will be Lenny Kitau, a very good number 12, along with Joseph Swali, this player who comes from Rugby League and who in reality has done wonderfully in his first season with the Wallabies. And the back 3, Harry Potter, not the wizard, folks, it's Harry Potter, the former Leinster Tigers player. Max Jorgensen, this young wonder who made a name for himself in 2023, and Tom Wright, a number 15 who can also play as a wing and does so very well due to his aerial game, but mainly because of his great long kick. On the bench will be Billy Pollard, a very good hooker, one of my favorites. Angus Bell, an excellent front row. Maybe that number 17 I would take to replace Thomas Gallo, or to start to alternate precisely with Galito. Tom Robertson, Jeremy Williams, Langi Gleeson, Carlo Tisano, who was perhaps the best player in Super Rugby Australia of the Australian century, the last season. Tech McDermott and Ben Donaldson, a 6'2 bench for the home team. And for the Lions, from 1 to 15 with Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan, and Tadek Furlong in the second row. Captain Maru Itoje alongside Ollie Chesham in the back row. Tadek Bayerne, Tom Curry, and Jack Conan. For the backs, James Dickinson Park, Fernandel, Finn Russell, Bundi Aki, Hugh Jones. The centers and the back 3, James Lowe, Tommy Freeman, and Hugo Keenan. On the side of the replacements, Ronan Kelleher, Ellis Kenway Stewart, James Ryan, Jack Morgan. A Welshman returns. Let's remember that in the last match there were no Welsh players among the 23, something historic considering the connection that the Dragon team has with the Lions. Alex Mitchell, Owen Farrell, and Blair Kinghorn. Let's see. People, let's see. Already 5 minutes into the video, and it's time to make predictions. I understand that the Lions are favorites, because I think if we compare them one by one, maybe 18 or 19 of the Lions players are better than those from Australia, or maybe more, 20, up to 21. But I think they are going to Australia, folks. They are going to Australia by a margin of 3 or 4 points and will arrive at the Sydney Olympic Stadium next Saturday with the series tied 1-1 and in a match that will be nerve-wracking, because I honestly expected a more uneven series. But the Lions aren't exactly in top form either. They crushed the Australian franchises. It's true they beat them, but beyond what the final results were, at times I watched the matches and they had a pretty tough time. Even now midweek against this team from Moana, actually Pacifica AA, Pacifica 15 they called them. They had a pretty tough time. It's true that with a 23 alter, completely alternative, but it has been somewhat the tune of the Lions in Australia, having a hard time in the first half and ending up settled in the second half to remain undefeated on the tour. Not so in 2025, because let's remember that the team led by Andy Farrell fell against Argentina back in June in what was the first setback against the UAR team in Dublin, in the capital of the European country.
Well, folks, not much more to say. The reality is that I don't have much more to say.
Among the keys, I think it will be the kicking game. We'll see if Tom Lignell, who is good with the posts, I think if Grant's son Michael is accurate with his kicks at the posts, I believe Australia could even end up winning by a wider margin. I imagine a 21-17 or a 17-14, a 24-17. I don't think it's a high-scoring match. There won't be more than 5 tries in this contest, and that's fine, right? Because it's a match that has to be, even though it's not for the points, because technically Australia doesn't earn points with this match. Neither do the Lions, because they are not in the World Rugby ranking, but it will be like a test match, or even more, maybe what will be more like a World Cup match, because the players who are wearing the jersey of both the Gold team and the Lions know that these matches are much more important than a July series. I don't know, in the case of Australia against France or against Wales, in the case of the Lions, the match against Argentina. Beyond that, for us, was life and much more. For them, it was simply a warm-up match, as they usually say in English, for everything related to preparation for such an important event as a Lions tour in Australia. So, well, folks, remember what I mentioned to you minutes ago. Subscribe, leave your like, activate the bell to receive notifications every time I upload a new video. So, and subscribe. Yeah, I think I said it all. Like, subscription, bell, and well, follow me also on my TikTok channel, where I upload content almost every day or every day. I'm also very active on Twitter, maybe a little more outside. It's not so much. No, it's not family-friendly content that I make on Twitter. I'm very tough on the Boca players, the managers, the journalists, and obviously also on the UAR managers. Not so much with the players or the staff of Los Pumas, because the reality is that they don't generate the reaction in me that other generations have. So, well, folks, until next time,